to introduce
Part
our
two, sorry.
Secretary of State for Energy Security.
Like, sorry, like, I pressed the wrong button. This is a part two. This wasn't meant to be a two-parter, but fuck it.
And for net zero of the UK, Ed Miliband.
Ooh, it's Ed! It's Ed! Go on, Ed. You tell him.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. And can I thank all the workforce here and Hutchinson, the management, for welcoming us to this fantastic facility. You are the future of clean energy manufacturing, so thank you for having us here. And I'm delighted to be here with the Prime Minister to set out our plans for Great British Energy. You know, every family and business in the country, every worker here has paid the price of...
Sorry, if you've watched the previous video, you'll get this. This one is about me watching the Prime Minister deliver a speech, and it's obviously Ed Miliband too. I wasn't expecting that one. I don't know, it should have been. I've just done a massive monologue about green energy. If you want to, watch the previous one to see what, the prelude to this, great. Or you can just carry on watching this one. I'm sorry, I pressed the wrong button. I thought I had it on one, and it didn't. Whatever.
Britain's energy insecurity during the cost of living crisis over the last couple of years. And because we are exposed as a country, independent forecasts show energy bills are expected to rise again in the autumn, showing just how vulnerable we are. But there is an answer. The Climate Change Committee, the independent watchdog, put it very well last week. They said British-based renewable energy is the cheapest and fastest way to reduce vulnerability to global fossil fuel markets. The faster we get off fossil fuels, the more secure we become.
So I wonder, and this is me guessing, because this is just guessing, before he even says what they're gonna do. But I wonder if GB Energy is gonna it's gonna be like a GB Energy sort of bank to sort of fund places like this. I mean, it's not the worst idea.
They are right. A sprint for clean energy is a route to energy independence because dictators and petrostates don't control it. It's the best insurance policy against the gyrations of fossil fuel markets and another price shock, and the best way to keep bills down for good.
To be fair, we, the French, and the US, largely, went out and plundered those countries first for their oil. And the Russians, I suppose, and the Norwegians. But, and now we're having, it's... I mean, this is partly our own fault. If you look at the historical political side of things. But, we're doing it. Alright, Badgers? Go on, Ed.
Today we introduced the Great British Energy Bill in Parliament, the first bill in decades to establish a UK-wide, publicly owned energy generation company. Now...
Okay, so he's saying it's going to be an energy generation company.
You may find it hard to believe, but we already have widespread public ownership of our energy in this country. But it's by foreign governments of France, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, just take EDF, for example. Électricité de France. Electricity from France.
These nations know that modern public ownership is part of a successful energy policy and industrial strategy. This government believes it is time for the British people to make things and own things again. GB Energy will be an owner and investor. It will work with the private sector to build...
An owner and investor? Well, with the private sector.
Okay. The clean energy we need. Create good jobs like those here at Hutchinson and generate a return for the taxpayer. A national champion headquartered in Scotland. investing in technologies such as wind, tidal, hydrogen, nuclear,
Tidal. I like the fact he's put in that he specifically said that.
carbon capture across the country,
Now,
scaling up
carbon capture. I know Graham Hughes from Politics Social. He's really skeptical about this. He's like, how do you suck it from the atmosphere and pull it in, right? Plants do it, dude. Like, a lot of the carbon that, like, they breathe in carbon dioxide, right? A lot of the carbon that they absorb ends up being stored in the soil. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. And in certain habitats, it does it more than others, like peatland. So, just it's not as you don't necessarily need technology for this, but it's possible, just possible, that with some proper R&D, if you look at how plants do it, we could make a mechanical version of it. I'm not sure we should, but it's possible.
community energy through a local power plant and ensuring a just transition for our oil and gas communities. And we know we need to act with boldness and imagination to deliver our mission. And so today we're also announcing a historic partnership between Great British Energy and the Crown Estate.
What's this now?
This new partnership sees one of our oldest national institutions partnering with our newest to produce 3 weeks into the new government, a new body, Great British Energy, the Crown Estate, a lasting institution that will go beyond one term or one government.
Oh! Oh! Oh, I like this. Oh, a possible. This is possibly one of the only benefits I can see currently to the monarchy, and old sausage fingers, Charlie Boy, because he's green. Oh, I could be like my brain could be like getting too excited, so I should chill out a bit. But that sounds like a brilliant move.
To steward Britain's energy resources for the benefit of the nation, speeding up delivery of clean power, building supply chains, driving investment, and delivering jobs.
I wonder if the Crown Estate will put money into it as well. Interesting.
The billions of capitalisation of Great British Energy will help to unlock tens of billions more. Now, we're under no illusions about the scale of the challenges we have inherited, from energy security to the climate crisis.
I was gonna say, like, this is going to be a big. This is going to be a big undertaking. There's going to be a lot of people needed for this. I mean, I like the ambition. I love the ambition here.
All what it will take to deliver our long-term plan for this country. But in our first weeks, we have shown that this is a government that will act equal to the urgency of our nation's challenges.
Let me know what you guys think about this partnership with the Crown Estate. I like how he said that it would outlast different governments as well. That really appealed to me. Let me know what you guys think about this. I quite like this.
Filling the
I mean,
mandate.
As a Republican in the long term, like, we would have to, in the end, cede that over to the state, right? But given how much the right seems to love the crown, I wonder if this would protect it from the Tories. Somewhat, at least, if they got back in. let me know. I like that's got my brain going as.
The change the British people gave us. And now it's my enormous privilege to introduce my friend, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer.
I just want to, just before Starmer comes on, wow, I think Ed Miliband has been wanting to say something like that for fucking years.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Susan. That was a fantastic introduction. It's never easy to do it, but you were absolutely fantastic and really good to see your colleagues here as well. Thank you all for that warm introduction when we arrived. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here this morning. We want to do a lot of work with you, and this is something the media will know. I said it many times in the election campaign. My dad was a toolmaker, and he worked...
This is memed. I wonder if he's being advised to continue saying it, or if he. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he's genuinely like old-fashionedly proud of this shit. But wow, I wonder if he's being advised to continue doing it because he keeps pushing it hard.
Work particularly with steel, as you do in tool making, the sort that he was doing. And so I love environments like this. This is what I grew up in, factories like this with my dad, doing the work that he did. Highly skilled, really important work, working with steel, the sorts of work that you're doing. I love being in these places. Thank you for giving up your time to listen to us this morning. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and it's great to be in Runcorn. It's great to be here with Ed, the Energy Secretary, in the third week of this Labour government.
Like, whenever I think of Runcorn, I'm sorry for people from Runcorn. I'm sorry, but whenever I think of Runcorn, you know what you know what I can think of, don't you? 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps.
Yep. It hardly seems possible that 3 weeks ago today, literally...
And if you don't know what 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps is, go and watch it.
We were still knocking on doors trying to persuade people to vote for us. And here we are, back to show that the work of change has already begun. And the hard graft of rebuilding this country has truly started. And it is vital that we begin immediately, because the last government dropped the ball. They left us the worst inheritance since the Second World War. And every day we're finding more mess that they've left for us to clear up. The rot of short-sightedness and self-service that has weakened the foundations of our country. We've started the rebuilding, but the problems that have been left to fester for years can't be cleared up overnight. And cast your minds back to 10 years ago, by way of example, when the Conservative government cut investment in clean British power. That impacts on your jobs. They told you that a clean energy future was possible as they blocked companies from building it. They offered the jobs of the future while they sat out the race. And that wasn't an oversight, it was an active choice. Another example of the chaos that characterised their government. A failure to serve our country, in my view. They banned onshore wind. Think of the impact that has had on your jobs. They slashed support for home insulation. They cut investment in renewables. And people have paid the price for their negligence. When Russia invaded Ukraine, we were left more exposed than other countries. And that meant Putin pushed our bills up. Every family and every business has felt the impact of that. We've lost a decade of opportunity, missed chances to boost our energy security, to cut bills and create good jobs. People up and down the country have literally paid the price of that short-sightedness. Yep. And we should be in no doubt, for as long as we remain reliant on foreign dictators for fossil fuels, this country will be exposed to future energy shocks like the one that we've just had. And as usual, it will be working people who are hit hardest in these crises. But now there is a massive prize within our reach. And make no mistake, the race is on to get there. Until now, I feel like we've been sort of tying up our laces in the changing room. No more. I don't just want to be in the race
More football.
for clean energy. I want us to win the race for clean energy. And why not? We've got the potential, we've got the ports, we've got the people, the skills, and now we've got a mission-driven government determined to take advantage of these opportunities. So in week one of government, we lifted the ban on onshore wind. We committed to unblock solar power, begun solar rooftop revolution on new homes and businesses.
Solar panels on rooftops. Ooh, I like that.
And last week, we introduced a bill in the King's Speech to create Great British Energy, a publicly owned energy company making money for the taxpayer, creating the next generation of good jobs, and taking Putin's boot off our throat once and for all, and doing our duty to the planet and to the next generation.
There are a lot of people who have got doubts about this Great British Energy, thinking it's just some kind of PPI 2.0 sort of thing. I don't know. Like, I'm not fully versed on that kind of thing. That's not where a lot of my understanding lies. But we'll see.
So today I'm delighted to announce we've appointed Jürgen Meyer, who is here today with us, to chair Great British Energy. Jürgen, thank you so much for taking up this really important role. He brings huge...
I'm sorry, I need to know who this Jürgen Meyer is. So I'm guessing Jürgen Meyer. Who's this? Jürgen Wolfgang Meyer, CBE FRS, or Jürgen Wolfgang Meyer, 1964, British-Austrian businessman, former executive of Siemens, industrialist. Okay. Okay, I've got two people. Yeah, it's the former Siemens chief. Interesting. I thought he was going to be doing the transport stuff. Fair enough.
credibility as the former chief executive of Siemens UK, one of the largest producers of turbines in this country.
I had no idea that was the case. I should have thought, like, I've watched like Top Gear episodes and stuff where, you know, they talk about how was it Renault or Peugeot? I think Peugeot used to create bikes and tanks and stuff like that.
Just saying, I visited Siemens in a number of places in Crawley and in Glasgow, and when I did, I was really struck by the apprentices there, the young people that would be skilled up for the future. And I know that Jürgen will bring that experience to the success of GB Energy and, of course, to our nation. Because I've always been clear that mission-driven government, that's a government with a driving sense of purpose, knowing what it wants to achieve, making decisions that are measured in years.
So he's put, if I'm understanding this correctly, so far, he's put leader of. See, I always knew Siemens as like a mobile phone maker. Granted, I haven't seen Siemens in years, but not the point. I had no idea Siemens was still around. If it still is, and this if they make turbines, and this guy's going to be... I don't know this guy's history, so if someone can enlighten me about this dude, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Is all about partnerships, working together to deliver for the British people. So I'm delighted that Great British Energy, our new national institution, will be partnering with the Crown Estate. And I'm really pleased that we can make that announcement
That's really
today,
interesting
and
to
that
me.
Dan Labad is
What do
here
you guys think?
with us from the Crown Estate. Now, this partnership will deliver, and it will deliver big. On the one hand, Great British Energy, at the heart of our industrial policy, with its own resources, and £8.3 billion to invest in the technologies of the future, floating wind, tidal power, nuclear, and clean power projects across the UK. And on the other hand, the expertise of the Crown Estate, their ownership of the seabed, their £16 billion asset base, and the new borrowing and investment powers that we will give them. Together...
I'm sorry, what? Did I hear that correctly? Borrowing and investment for this, so long as they specifically make it for this. Ooh. That's interesting. Again, let me know what you guys think about this, because I'm mildly enthusiastic about this, but I'm not entirely sure. So let me know what you guys think.
They will work with the market, exploiting capabilities that only the government has, and crowding in the very best from the private sector. Because this government isn't driven by ideology, but by our determination to deliver for the British people. So we will be pro-business, pro-worker, and pro-wealth creation for all, maximising our assets rather than flogging them off to bring a better return for the taxpayer. And this new partnership, Great British Energy, the Crown Estate, will unleash a tidal wave of public and private investment to drive the low-carbon transition, create good, secure jobs and supply chains across Britain, fast-track energy projects already in the pipeline, and make the UK a world leader in the clean technologies of the future. Now, we owe that to the next generation. In Grimsby, I met apprentices working on offshore wind. Highly skilled young people, proud of the jobs that they were doing. They were maintaining the turbines out to sea on a 2-week rota. Really keen to play their part in the clean energy revolution. And there are apprentices like that, the next generation of jobs across the country. And this is key to the decade of national renewal that this country needs. Stewarding our energy resources for the benefit of the whole nation for years to come. Powering Britain from the seabeds of the North Sea to the Celtic Sea. And I want to be clear, we will work with our counterparts in Scotland every step of the way. As a grown-up government in the service of working people across the entire United Kingdom. Scotland will lead the clean energy revolution. GB Energy will be headquartered in Scotland. And I know everyone I speak to seems to have a good case for it being based in their town or city, but we're not going to announce that today. But I can confirm this. GB Energy will bring good jobs and long-term investment to our industrial hearts and coastal communities. You know how important that is to your jobs, the jobs of those that will come as apprentices and young people in the future in places like this. Those jobs, it will save families money and harness our national assets to deliver energy independence. Now, change on that scale will not happen overnight, but today we've taken that first step immediately, a down payment on our mission for clean power by 2030 and accelerating to net zero. We said we would set up Great British Energy, and we have. We said we would create good jobs and cut your bills, and we will. The race has started, the work has begun. The planet and the people of this country will reap the benefits for decades to come. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Interesting.
I'm now going to take a number of questions from the media, but then there will...
So some of the risk is on, if it's what some people are saying to me, where it's like PFI, and the state takes most of the risk, or all of the risk, then it's not just the state taking risk here, it's the Crown taking risk. And this, I fucking bet, this is Charlie Boy, the King. I bet this is Cunning Charlotte, like, doing this. This is okay.
I do
We're
want
backing
the
it
opportunity
anyway.
to talk to some of you, so we'll get this out of the way first, and then we'll have the opportunity.
This doesn't make me a
to talk. I want to
monarchist,
hear your
by the way. Far
views,
from it.
your perspective, anything you want to talk to me and Ed about. Please take that opportunity in just a moment. Let's do media first. I've got Simon Jack from the BBC. Simon,
You got to speak. But you got to give wins where there are wins, right? And if the monarchy does something good, I'm going to say that it's good. That doesn't make me a monarchist. Only people who say that are reactionaries and absolutists. Idiots.
Simon Jack, BBC News. What's your message to the 200,000 people who work in the oil and gas sector throughout the UK? The unions say they risk being the miners of their generation. We've already seen investment walk away from domestic oil and gas resources here. And if I may ask a second one, what was your reaction to the pictures of the police officer clearly kicking and stamping on the head?
What do you think
he's prone position?
I get that's a really important story. This has got nothing to do with that, man. You could have asked him. Oh, okay.
And what is the right response to that?
well, for those working in oil and gas, can I start by saying thank you for all the hard work that they have done on the energy that we've had in this country for many, many years. Second, that we will manage through this transition in a way that ensures we have the next generation of jobs and the generation after. Everybody knows that oil and gas will be part of the mix for many years to come. None of the licences that have been granted are going to be revoked or interfered with by us. But a transition is coming to renewables. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the sector knows that. And what you have with mission-driven government, purpose-driven government, is an absolute determination to see that.
That's going to piss off a whole bunch of people. I mean, I get why it's necessary, but I don't like it. They're not cancelling a lot of the contracts, like, outright. They're just not going to, they're not going for any new ones. Something. It's better than what we had.
As an opportunity, and to manage that transition in a fair way, particularly for those that are working in oil and gas. And the worst thing we could do, knowing that transition is coming.
To be fair, a lot of people were worried about this green transition, and I've spoken to a few people that have been doubtful about this, right? Quite a few people, and not about GB Energy in particular, but about the green transition. And one of the big fears is what Thatcher did in the 80s with the miners, where she just shut them and fuck you, basically. So,
because oil and gas is running out, the worst thing we could do is nothing, or to go slowly. Because we had a transition, you'll remember this, away from coal. And the government at the time did not do the forward planning for the next generation of jobs. And there are communities across the country still feeling the effects of that. I'm never going to let that happen under a Labour government. So we will work with all of those in the sector now.
He did work pro bono as a lawyer for some of the mining strikers.
All of those who will continue to have the skilled jobs that we need in the places we need them. But the best thing we can do for jobs in this country, in the energy sector, is to seize this opportunity and work through it in a fair way. In relation to the footage emerging from Manchester that you mentioned in the second part of your question, look, I understand the public's concern. I've seen it myself and understand that concern. There have now been, I think, the suspension of one police officer this morning, and the Home Secretary is meeting the Mayor of Manchester to discuss this as we speak.
Andy
now.
Burnham.
Thank you. I'll go to Shihab, please, from ITV.
Shihab Khan from ITV News. Prime Minister, can you guarantee that GB Energy will result in people's energy bills going down? And if so, when are you expecting that to happen? And a second question, if I may. There's an ITV documentary that airs tonight about unlawful press intrusion, which has renewed calls for a public inquiry. The father of Madeleine McCann has spoken to ITV News, in which he says it is critical that the government has the courage and integrity to keep its promises and proceed with the second half of the Leveson inquiry. Prime Minister, will you keep that promise? And what do you say to Jerry McCann and other victims?
Well, let me deal with the second part first. We've set out in our manifesto our programme for action for this government. We've laid that out in the King's speech. That clearly sets out our priorities, and the second half of Leveson is not among them. I've been clear that one of the purposes of mission-driven government is to be clear about what we can achieve, the time frame, the purpose we need to put to it, but also that it dictates our priorities in government. Given the mess that we've inherited, and we're finding more of it every day, it's really important that we keep to those priorities. In relation to bills, yes, this will drive down
That's going to annoy a lot of people.
This move to renewable energy has a number of material advantages because every family and every business has paid higher bills in energy in recent years because of the inaction of the last 10 years. So this will drive down bills. It gives us energy independence because at the moment we're reliant on the international market. That means when you get issues like the invasion of Ukraine,
doubt we're
that
gonna
has an
get
effect. That's why bills
time
have gone
frame.
up, and it's been worse in
Very
this
doubt it.
country than in other countries. So it gives us that security, and it also gives us the next generation of jobs, but it will push bills down, and that's the sort of number one issue behind renewables. Bills will
ask
go
about
down,
time
and not for a short time, but actually permanently. And for every family and every business across the country, that is hugely important. Thank you. I'll go to Tom at Sky.
Didn't think so. Nicely dodged.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Tom Clark, Sky News. On that point, even with the measures you brought in today, big offshore wind farms are still going to take years to develop. There's hundreds of billions of pound investment needed to get to your 2030 low carbon energy targets, but just 8.3 billion pounds in GB Energy. Can you be at all confident in your pledge to voters that you will lower their bills in the short term?
Yes, and I'll tell you for why. The money that's going into GB Energy is intended to be a catalyst for private investment. And the partnership that we've announced today with the Crown Estate, I think, will give great confidence to investors about the determination that we...
Yeah, because I think there's going to be money coming in, like Charlie Boy's going to be going around getting invested. Oh, could you imagine the King as an investment tool? Can he do that? Ooh. Can he do that? Ooh. This is really interesting. I would love for people... I want people to let me know about this. I can't wait for a big chat on Discord about this.
We have the speed at which we're willing to take decisions. And this is a historic partnership. This has never been done before. It's a real game changer.
Yeah, because
And
the
here we are.
Crown isn't supposed to partner with government. It's supposed to be separate. This is... Okay.
Are 3 weeks into a Labour government making that announcement today. Look, it will take time for this...
Could the states assume the Crown?
to develop. It will take time before we're able to get the benefits from clean power, but that's why we're moving at pace. because the inaction of the last 10 years has cost every family and every business. So we need to move at pace to get those bills down. But I think today, this announcement is a historic announcement. I think it will give great confidence to the private sector.
Okay, so it depends on how fast investment comes in. Well, it depends on how fast we can set this up, like the infrastructure for this, just for the initial infrastructure. Then how much investment they can get. Then how much they can get for investment going forwards. This is really interesting. I really need to have a chat with people about this.
To come up alongside a mission-driven government, a purpose-driven government, a government, if I may say so, with a mandate strong enough to take decisions that are measured in years, not months. That's been a huge problem of the last 14 years, but the last 8 years in particular, with a strong sense of industrial strategy and a fundamental belief that we should own and make things in Britain. I think everybody here would agree with that sentiment, that we have the capability, we've got the skills, we've got the workforce, we've got the talent. Let's own more and make more in Britain. Thank you very much. Catherine, GB News.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Catherine Forster, GB News.
GBBs.
You see green technology as a huge opportunity for growth, for jobs, for energy security. I've asked about bills a little bit, but for ordinary families, obviously this is going to take many years. Can you tell us specifically, will people start to see a drop in their bills in this Parliament, and if so, by how much, or will it take longer than that?
We certainly want to get those bills down in this Parliament, and every step we take, that's all. You know, we've already announced what we're going to do in relation to solar energy.
What I'm reading into this is that within this Parliament, that we should start to see, after a couple of years, bills coming down. That's what I'm reading from this.
To onshore wind, today obviously the announcement we're making about GB Energy. Each of these steps will bring down bills. The timing will depend on the implementation, but the fact that within 3 weeks we've already taken some of the key decisions allows us to move at pace. So I want to see those bills go down in this Parliament. We've made that pledge. That's what we intend to do. And it is really important because so many people have been hammered by their energy bills in the last few years. Talk to any business up and down the country and ask them, what's your number one challenge? And I'd put money these days on most of them saying, it's my energy bill. It's far too high. I need to get it down. And families have struggled with their energy bills and therefore had to make difficult choices about what else they do. But look, it is about making these decisions early on. We have, I think in the first 3 weeks now, shown a real intent to make the change that's necessary to get those bills down. Thank you so much. I've got Rob from ITV Granada.
Prime Minister, and good morning. A question on the incident at Manchester Airport. Prime Minister, you know the law and order system in this country better than most people in this country. Former Director of Public Prosecutions, your government now leads
It's not me.
on...
It's not me.
Joy when the phone rings. Your government now shapes that very system. You've seen that video of that police officer. What do you say to other people who have seen it, who are now questioning their trust in that law and order system? People like those protesting in Rochdale last night, raising issues and concerns about institutional racism and police brutality.
Well, I have seen the footage, and for that reason, I do understand the public concern. Obviously, action has now been taken in relation to the suspension of an officer, and the Home Secretary is already having those discussions with the Mayor of Manchester. I think they've already happened, or they're taking place as we speak, and she has made sure that she's kept updated on developments ever since the incident. And so obviously there's a process now that will go into place, but I completely understand the public concern, having seen the footage myself. Thank you. I've got Max from The Times.
Prime Minister Max Candex at The Times. In the last 35 years, there have only been 2 site licenses granted to build new nuclear plants, and in one of those cases, the funding is still up in the air. The previous government set an ambition of building a new nuclear reactor every year. Is that also your ambition?
Nuclear is very much part of the mix as we go forward. and we will be pushing hard on it. I've already had discussions with the Energy Secretary about how we can speed up when it comes to nuclear. I have to say,
SMRs.
as we've found in other departments, I'm pretty appalled at what we're finding in the decisions of the previous government in terms of the speed of projects, the lack of thinking through of how quickly projects can be delivered, and the funding that's been put behind them. We will clear that up, and we'll move this on because nuclear is very much part of the energy mix as we go forward. And the task I've set the Energy Secretary...
As I said, it's about diversification. R&D into more efficient nuclear energy, safer nuclear energy. It's going to be part of phasing out gas and oil, because something's going to have to take up where that gap is until we can build up enough of the renewable sector. Then we can possibly start. Yeah, the thing about nuclear energy is just how long it lasts. This is the issue. And, you know, geostrategically, it's seen as a strength. So,
is to take such steps as are necessary to make sure this is delivered faster and more efficiently, and to do that as quickly as
I will just say that I would eventually prefer to get rid completely of nuclear energy, but we'll have to see. I mean, we'll never go off this planet if, you know... Alright, that's not true. We will get off this planet. It's going to be difficult to do a lot of things that require so much energy without nuclear energy. This is why nuclear fusion is so important.
Possible. Thank you. Emma from the
Fission is so
Telegraph.
bad.
Emma.
Thank you, Prime Minister. During the election campaign, Labour suggested bills would be brought down around £300
Oh, I'm glitching apparently.
a year by 2030 by your net zero energy plans. Do you stand by that figure? How much can households expect to save?
Yes, I do. I stand by everything in our manifesto, and one of the things I made clear in the election campaign is that I wouldn't make a single promise or commitment that I didn't think we could deliver in government. And that's why
I genuinely believe they can deliver this.
Costed and funded everything in our manifesto. That does depend on early, firm decisions being made, which is why we've set up GB Energy one day with the Crown Estate, and why the Energy Secretary has already taken action in week one in relation to onshore wind,
This is interesting.
in relation to solar energy, and also pushing on with nuclear. So I stand by that commitment. What this brings us is lower bills, energy security, the next generation of jobs, and of course an important contribution to our obligations in relation to the planet. Thank you. Peter from the Guardian.
So it's glitchy
Hi,
problems today.
yeah, thanks. It's one thing to get the wind turbines built, but something that often kind of slows this down is transporting the electricity across the country. People get bogged down in these planning battles. At Prime Minister's questions yesterday, you were quite scathing towards Adrian Ramsey, the Greens co-leader, for the fact that he's opposed overhead lines in the area that he represents. Can you guarantee you'll be that tough on Labour councillors or Labour MPs who take a similar NIMBY-ish attitude? And will you guarantee that if it has to be done,
think he will, you
then
know.
all this electricity from
A lot of
these
people think he's
plants
not
will
going to have a
be
spine
brought
about
overground
this,
rather
but
than much
I
more
actually
expensive and
think
slower undersea or
his record so far, which is
We will take the tough decisions to make this work, because it's the failure to take the tough decisions and the running away from tough decisions that has caused over a decade of lost opportunity. So we'll take those tough decisions. That will include decisions on planning, where we intend to make the necessary changes, and that will apply everywhere, whatever the rosette on the constituency, because we have to move this forward. And you know, I've given this example before, but I'll give it again because it certainly brings it home. When I was preparing for government, I went through with those that know what they're talking about, including CEOs of energy companies, how quickly an onshore wind farm could be built. The answer to that is, on the engineering, the skills side, about 2 years. But unless we change things, it then takes 13 years before we get any power, because you lose 5 years in planning, another 5, 6, 7 years to get the grid to connect. We are not going to go on like that. We're not going to go on like that. We will take the tough decisions to cut through that. And so, yes, that's the approach that we've set out. Yes, I think we've shown already our mettle in relation to this, and we'll press on with the planning aspects just as quickly and just as determinedly as we pressed on with creating GB Energy in the first place.
I was wondering how this was going to be funded, because this, you know, the 25 billion, 28 billion was cut down to 8.3, and then it was going to be, you know, bringing in private. This thing with the Crown, I think could help a lot, considering that Labour are, you know, they're trying to show they can be fiscally responsible. And I'm really caught with this. I think I really need to have a long chat with someone about this.
I've got Sophie from the Mirror. Sophie.
Hi, Sophie Huskisson from The Mirror. Should people in Britain ditch their gas boilers? And if so, how will you help them do that?
Well, I'm not going to tell people what to do with their boilers. This is not about bearing down on individuals and imposing a disproportionate burden on them. I don't think that's the way that we take anybody through a transition. So this is not about a government that's going to go around the country saying you can do this, you can't do that. That isn't the way to bring about the transition. The best way, I think, is to ensure that we put in place the difficult decisions to make sure that renewable energy is a reliable source of energy and meet our mission, which is to have clean power by 2030. And the best...
Sorry, I'm not laughing at Starmer. Behind him, right? I'll put the link to this in the description, right? And this is the second time that mobile phones rang, and it's this woman behind him, right? Someone's trying to ring her, and they've just tried to ring her again, and she's does not look happy. My brain started imagining, even though I was trying to listen to Starmer, my brain just had this image this image in my head of what she was going to look like on the phone after this. Oh dear. What the fuck did you ring me for?
Best selling point, if you like, for the general public is that their bills will go down, and they will go down not just for a short time, but for the long term, and that will come as a huge relief, I think, to families and businesses across the country. Thank you all very much, and now we get the opportunity to talk to you, which I'm very much looking forward to. Thank you.
Interesting. So yeah, I wondered how long that was going to be. Looks like it's ending. Is it ending? Are we ending? I don't know if we're ending. Yes, it's ended. Right. Cool. Yeah, no, this was good. Like, I liked what I heard in this, I think. Let me know what you guys think. I'm obviously I'd want more from the state being put in. Labour trying to show they can balance the books, I suppose. What do people think of this partnership with the Crown? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I think it is, because as someone who would rather this country become a republic, I don't know about adding the Crown into this stuff. But thinking about it practically, and from what I've been hearing about how this kind of stuff works, you need a vehicle. And Charlie is one hell of an advocate for the green movement. From what I can gather, anyway. It's one of the few good things about him, I suppose. I wonder if he can be used as a vehicle to bring in to bring in investment. That'd be interesting. Not only that, but they could use crown. He could allow to use crown lands as well. That'd be interesting too. If they allow for crown lands to be used for this, make it protected from the government. And again, like one of the doubts that I heard most about this was that the state would take most of the risk, because it being a sort of PFI sort of thing. But in this case, isn't it the Crown and the state? I don't know. Like I suppose there could be better ways of this being done, but this, I think, actually could be good. And the ambition, I'm quite liking I'm quite liking the ambition being shown here. What do people think? I know there's going to be a bunch of cynics. Don't believe it. Like, think about it practically and realistically from all sides, not just from your own biases. What do you think it is? I really want to have a chat about this, because I know a fair bit about energy sources. I know how the physics works. I just, and I'm learning how the politics is working. I just don't know how it works. How the economical side of things. So that's where my knowledge base is starting to expand, and I need to talk to people to help it expand. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Again, if you want to see me wax lyrical about things before I watch this, watch the first part to this. I didn't mean to make this a two-parter. I'm an idiot. But there you go. Otherwise, it would probably been like an hour and a half, nearly. So yeah, I'm quite impressed. What do you think, Bramnabrook? Bramnabrook is really he's still annoyed. He's still annoyed. Yeah. He's one of those absolutists that are like, no, you've got to end the badger cull now. I don't care if you piss off the farmers. Fuck him. Look, we need a broad base of voters. And the farmers, we can't risk them going. We don't want them to go back to the Tories. Do you get me? Do you see what I'm talking about here? He's just too angry, He's a Gramlich Brook. Anyway, an angry badger. So from one angry pagan, my shield at your backs, guys, and my sword at your service. I'm very interested to see what happens going forward, and I will continue to cover it in such a way. Again, let me know what you guys think. Please like, subscribe. Blessed Thursday, guys. Good faith.